Hey, hello, my name is Arthur Grouse, and in this video I want to show you all about Dataflows Gen 1, Gen 2 and also Power Query. Let's start with Power Query because I think most of you know that one. It's normally something that you use inside the Power BI desktop. We have the reporting part, we have the model, and we feed the data in using Power Query. It's what I call a self-service ETL tool. So it's a very easy to use engine to connect to all kind of data sources and do all kind of transformations very easily using a graphical user interface. And that's why it's also very popular inside of Power BI. And mostly it's used in like a smaller scope. You're not working with hundreds of millions of rows, but with 100,000 of rows or millions of rows. And then if you publish such a report with the Power Query inside to the service, then it will end up in an app workspace. And in this workspace, we have the reports and the semantic models with the Power Queries, but we also have a concept of data flows. But first, let's take a look at the semantic models, and especially shared models. What do I mean by shared models? What you can do is you can just create a model and a report, and then you create another model with another report. They have exactly the same name, and each have their own queries. But sometimes, like for example here in the sales, I want to create multiple reports on top of the same model. I don't want to recreate all these Power Queries because basically I'm using the same kind of tables. So it's not good to have like all this logic duplicated. So that's why we create one model with the Power Queries inside and we create multiple reports on top of that. That's a good way to work. But sometimes you can also have like Power Queries that you want to reuse across multiple models. For example, you have like this base table, a date table, or a products table, or a customers table that you want to reuse in different domains, but you don't want one model. Or what you can also have a lot of times is I want to connect to like a REST API. Like for example, Salesforce is a SaaS solution, and it's very difficult to get to all these objects. It's very time consuming. If you would do this in Power Query, it would eat up a lot of resources on your computer. So that's where the data flows come in. So data flow is basically a Power Query, but then running online, but also the editing experience is online. So you use Power Query online to edit it. Everything is in the cloud. You cannot create it with Power BI desktop. So it's just in the cloud, and then the destination of the data flow is not a model, but these are CSV files in blob storage. So that looks a little bit strange, but that's how it works. So for example, I connect to the REST API of Salesforce. I create a data flow with multiple entities, multiple queries, and these queries will be saved in a CSV file, and I schedule this data flow to run every hour or every day, just like a model. But the Power Queries are separated from the model. And these entities, I can import them in multiple models if I want, across multiple workspaces. So that's also a really nice concept. I personally use them quite a lot with working with REST APIs, or connecting to XML files, or Excel sheets, or SharePoint. All these connections that are very slow. I like to do it in a data flow, then my computer is not affected by the performance impact. So that's a very nice idea. So that's Dataflows Gen 2. That has nothing to do with Fabric. That has been there for a few years in Power Query. So now there's this new kid on the block, the Dataflows Gen 2. What is this all about? This is all about Fabric. So you only will have them if you're working with Fabric, and you can use it in combination with a lakehouse or a warehouse. So in this diagram I have it combined with a lakehouse. What is a lakehouse? A lakehouse is a cloud database with Delta tables, built on top of the Delta Lake technology using Parquet files in the Delta format. But basically just a database like SQL Server, and you want to load the data inside these tables, and that's where you use the data flows for. So Dataflow Gen 2 is also a Power Query. It's also Power Query Online. It looks a lot like Dataflow Gen 1, but there's one main difference, and that's the destination. No more saving CSV files in blob storage. Now you're saving the data in a proper database. And this can be SQL Azure, separated from Fabric, or it can be a lakehouse or warehouse inside a Fabric workspace. And that's a very nice concept. So now you can also use data flows for big scenarios. So big data scenarios are loading millions of rows inside a lakehouse, and a lakehouse can have gigabytes of data or terabytes of data if you like. So this is very scalable. And that's not the case with the CSV files, of course. And that's also not the case with Power Query inside Power BI Desktop. They're not very scalable. And this one is. So this is also a very interesting option, especially if you work with Fabric and with the lakehouses, and you don't want to use Spark notebooks, for example. You don't want to use Python to do all this importing. You just use the self-service ETL engine, but still you can work with lots of data and you can put it in your lakehouse. Hope you have a better understanding about the data flows and Power Query. Please visit the website Fabric Code to find more articles or videos about all this. Hope to see you there.